Round 2 of this year's SA Off-Road Championship saw the Off-Road Brigade tackle the Baberspan 500. A race that is traditionally one of the toughest on the national calendar drew a full field of special and production vehicles, motorcycles and quad racers. Year in and year out, national championships produce some new talent and some familiar faces reappear on the scene. Back in action after a year on the sideline is former Baberspan winner Richard Manning.
It's pretty slow this year because I had a year off last year due to a little bit of financial constraints. But I'm starting again this year. The Sun City was alright, a good race. I had a bit of trouble in the mud and we got some wire caught in the back wheel. So that slowed me down a bit, but other than that, it's going good.
I thought, yeah, we had a very good run at Sun City. The car ran very hot because of the very muddy conditions, and it actually turned out to quite a hot day, so the car ran very hot. It used a bit of oil pressure ran low near the end, so we decided to rebuild the motor completely. In fact, we put another motor in, and it's actually proved the right thing to do because it develops a lot more horsepower, and the car's really nice and strong. We've gone through the whole car from bumper to bumper, stripped it, replaced rose joints, haven't missed out anything because we really want to go for the championship this year.
From production vehicle championship contender Neil Woolridge to Marius Bahrain, who this year will campaign a single-seater in the special vehicle class.
Marius, you've changed from a twin-seater to a single-seater in a rather interesting car, a lot smaller, a lot more compact. Tell us about it, how it's designed and configured.
Well, that's basically my idea, is to go lighter. Weight in off-road for me is a very big factor, and I went to the small car. It's much lighter, it's easier for me to handle, accelerates better and stops quicker. So that's basically what I want.
When it comes to innovation, off-roaders also come up with bright ideas.
Tell us about that double visor you have on there.
This is a piece of Pyrex glass on here, and what happens is this is made out of Lexan. So what happens is when you get mud on it and you wipe it with your glove or with the thing, it scratches the lens. So we're using a Pyrex glass on here. It's a little bit stronger and it's easier to wipe and it keeps clean and you've got vision all the time. So they say it works. We'll tell you tomorrow because it's going to rain here for sure. I just don't know when.
Alpie, vertel ons 'n bietjie hoe dinge lyk vir hierdie wedren.
Dis my gunsteling wedren hierdie Baberspan. En ons het hom al 'n paar keer gewen. En ons is baie optimisties vanjaar om weer te wen. Ons het net so 'n bietjie iets wat ons so bietjie sal ek sê bietjie rem, en dit is ons voor as is nog nie uitgesorteer soos wat ons hom wil hê nie.
For the unfortunate Errol Dalton, the race was over before it started.
It's more about 7:30. John brought two jet skis out to play on the dam, and it just happened so quick. I was on the one jet ski and Daryl Curtis was on the other one, and we just collided in the middle of the dam and took me out. Got taken to hospital and x-rayed, and there was a bone broken in my leg.
The 25-kilometre time trial produced a scintillating performance from former champions Richard Schilling and Ashley Thorne in the Mototech Raceco. With the Raceco performing to its full potential, Schilling and Thorne set up a time only 3 seconds slower than the fastest bike. The pair were half a minute ahead of brothers Herman and Karl-Heinz Sorwald in the BF Goodrich Raceco. There was also an impressive performance from veteran Linton Draper and navigator Corrie Ngubeni in another of the awesome Racecos. Springboks Kasi Kutsia and Richard Leake were again out in the Castrol Toyota Hilux, affectionately known as Fred, with the new truck said to be in the pipeline for the pair.
Ja, daar is 'n nuwe een op pad, maar dit gaan nog 'n tydjie vat voor hy reg is. Ek glo nie ons moet hom bou en sommer begin ry nie. Ons gaan eers so 'n paar streeks tydrenne doen met hom in die off-road afdeling, en dan sal ons hom gebruik as hy reg is. En moontlik met die desert race, ek wil nie beloftes maak nie. Gilo is besig om hom te werk, en maar dit gaan tyd vat om 'n nuwe voertuig te bou. Mens kan nie net oornag bou nie.
Reigning South African production vehicle champions R.P. Reiniger and Robin Houghton took a more conservative approach to the time trials in the Bankfin Toyota Land Cruiser. In recent years, the wily Reiniger, who farms in the area, has virtually made the race his own property. Not surprisingly, Reiniger and Houghton were high on the list of pre-race favourites, along with the Italians Neil Woolridge and Paul Vermaak in the Nissan Sani. The Nissan won races last season and is always a threat for top honours, but the production vehicle runners were completely outclassed in the time trial. The top 10 positions all went to special vehicles, with Schilling and Thorne leading the way. With Alfie Cox back in South Africa after a lengthy overseas campaign, there were no guesses as to who was favoured to win the motorcycle category.
This is my 11th Baberspan this year. I remember coming here in '85 for my first one, and Jeremy's brother Mark, it was his 10th one, and I thought, gee, 10 Baberspans, and here we go, it's my 11th Baberspan, and it hasn't been the best race for me. I think I've only had four or five wins in the 10 times, and it's always been seconds, thirds, very close, and I like the race, and I just hope maybe this year will go okay.
Back in the saddle after a serious leg injury and a year racing cars on the track, Jeremy Davies will tackle some marathon events overseas later in the year.
What's this that you can't stay away?
No, it's not that I can't stay away. I'm doing the Total Super Series and a few long ones in preparation for Australian Safari. That's it. I'm not here to break my neck. I'm here to practice, get some good riding in. So the best place to come is one of these long races.
The Pro Action KTM pair of Alfie Cox and Darryl Curtis led home the bike time trial, with Louis Kairos and Ronald Bailey the surprises in the top 5. There were no time trial surprises in the quad racing category. As expected, it was Vickers van Deventer, who has a dairy farm in the Lichtenburg area, who led home the pack on the Jojo Tanks Yamaha. Van Deventer is currently in a class of his own, but behind him there were one or two fierce battles with the Breckel brothers, Mark and Paul, doing the chasing along with Yuri Duplessis. The quad racers compete in modified and standard classes, and when the dust had settled, it was Van Deventer who finished more than 20 seconds ahead of Mark Breckel, with brother Paul third on the second of the Brasco refrigeration Yamahas. Van Deventer and the Breckels are experienced off-road racers, but for Corrie and Gabeni, the Baberspan 500 is part of a learning curve.
Corey, you've been with Mr. Draper now for some 4 years. Where did it all start and where is it all going to end?
I started as a painter. Then I come to work on a racing cars as a spinner boy. 1 year later, I started to do the preparation in the cars. And after 3 years, it's now my 4th year at Draper Company. Then I start to navigate with Mr. Draper. We do the roof and Draper 1000. We're actually doing well. I don't know, maybe at the end of the day I'll drive. But
you want to know what my strategy is for today? The guy can give them carrots. Lead from the front. Hopefully it hasn't rained too much last night. There's of course an advantage for those following us, which I often have to do, that there will not be that much dust. We have changed this morning the car to some tyres which should handle the mud a bit better. Chance we're taking.
Mention the Baberspan 500 to farmers in the area and they grin broadly.